And it's not first half, it's 10 minutes to go. You have a chance to go fifth after so many years of disappointment, years of criticism. You know what is happening if they equalize. They're going to kill you tomorrow in a press, they're going to boo you. So 10 minutes, be like double focus.
But we feel like something's going to happen, so I don't understand how the players can't feel it. No matter how... You might be playing a really poor team, you want it, but you know anything can happen. We've just seen there with a set piece. And obviously West Ham stayed in the game and good delivery. But United, again, you felt like in America, calling a timeout and getting the United players to get after 70 minutes ago. Lads, you know the game's in the balance still, as if they were 2 or 3.
When you were both playing in that situation, I know it wouldn't have happened but could you sense it coming for the opposite? You're saying you don't know how the players didn't sense it.
Well, you hope it. Well, your experienced players go. You try. What you say. You smell it. You smell it. Go, they're still in the game here. United are making substitutions, and the manager's entitled to do that. But I was looking at players coming off, and everyone. It was like they'd won the league, and they're all just all chilling out. You go, it's 1-0. Get off the pitch. Get somebody show some intensity to your play. And when you're defending set pieces, when the subs are going on and the subs are coming on. It was all a bit like, hey, this is cool.
Exactly, yeah.
You can't be cool when you want it up. Get the job done. You want it up, then show your quality. Man United, they're more quality players than West Ham. They have, in general. And this is not a good United team. But show that when you get 1-0 up, where you go, all right, you can relax a little bit now, because you got that 1-0, a little bit, but knowing anything can happen. But United were all
exactly.
too chilled out, too relaxed, get the job done.
Exactly, and I'm not saying that when we played or managed that it was perfect. I conceded many as a player, as a manager, zillion goals like that. But
United's last
after that, we were I was angry because let's say you are 1-0 up, 10 minutes to go. If they score, it's gonna be a screamer. It's gotta be from 20 yards. It's gotta be great header from whoever. Blah blah blah. But not cheap goals, you know what I mean? We gotta be double for 10 minutes to go.
But the last 3 or 4 games United have played, that sums them up. It's just not quite doing enough.
It's just a bit. Bleh.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
I can't even find
doesn't
a word
matter
for it.
Thing, okay, the new chance will come next week.
Where's the frustration with the group of players? We saw it the weekend. I'm looking at the last 2 or 3 games, and I've watched the games closely. The lack of quality, intensity in their play. Yeah, they got 2 goals against Palace, but Palace defended the way Palace defended them 2 goals were like a pub team, really bad. United kind of got out of jail, but then you give them credit for hanging in there and sticking at it. But then tonight you go, United, a lot of praise before the game, and again a lot of good PR. They're good at set pieces. They can go 5th, and as if this team's not ready to go 5th in the league. They've got Wolves. They've got Wolves next. There's an opportunity. Saw Wolves the other night. Wolves, one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Premier League. Let's see if United can go do a job at them. And if they do get 1-0 up, don't sit back and go, we're playing Wolves or like West Ham tonight who are in the bottom 3, going, yeah, we got 1, don't worry, there's another 2 or 3 coming here. We're going to try and flex our muscles. But then he makes his substitutions, and the game all became a bit stretched and a bit, which suited West Ham. Because West Ham thought, listen to this. Do you know what United gave West Ham tonight? They gave them hope. But when you're here and you're 1-0 up, go, you don't even dream you're getting back into this game. But West Ham, as the game was going on, we're sitting here. Slav's had a pack of biscuits at this stage, and we're sitting there going,
whoa, pop kettle. No offence, but pop kettle.
I had a few.
Yeah, you did.
4 or 5.
No, you know
but but I don't get it, how the players don't sense it, or the manager doesn't sense it, going, lads, there could be a twist here. There could be a twist when you're 1-0. And the last 2 home games, United have scored 1 goal. You got to do better than that.
What I didn't like, we are in football for so long that sometimes the teams that are in trouble, that are on a bad run, then you are winning. And then you concede a goal because you are scared. You are scared. It's always, let's not concede, but you concede because you're afraid. It wasn't like this. For me, they conceded because they were too comfortable. They were sloppy. They thought, it's over, we're going to win it anyway. And that happened to them.
But that's worse,
that's what I don't. That's worse. That's worse. Because the one when you are afraid, it's human. You are human. You know what I mean. You can't help it.
And you can't.
This is like.
You can't relax in this game when you're 1-0 up. I know. I kind of played with a kind of an angry head on, but you can't relax. And I see people going on and off, and it was just substitutions where players were walking off. Every player at Old Trafford now gets a standing ovation. I'm going, what are the standards of the club? Where are the standards from? Is it coming from the top, the players, even the fans? The fans are cheering everything these days.
Although that, just on the fan side of things, is just them trying to, isn't it?
Trying what?
To lift it.
Trying to lift it. Yeah, maybe there's a bit of that. But also, where's your standards? Where's your demands on the club? Where's your expectation? You're 1-0 up, and it's just a bit. Again, I said it at half time, you're waiting for something to happen. Get your top players on the ball, make it happen, get the job done. Maybe relax at 3-0. Maybe relax at 3-0. Neither then you're going, hold on, because you're on about setting standards and good habits. But you 1-0 up and they give a corner away. Bruno gets drawn to the ball. And it's like Bowen, he said himself, he's 5'9", one of the smallest players on the pitch. He's getting a header. We're praising United the last week, saying how good they are at set pieces. Well, that works both ways. It's well and good attacking. You got to defend them. You defend it properly. At least you say it was a poor game, but you get 3 points.
Yeah, it's right. But what Mark said, I mean, you got a point. It's like from fans' point of view, they're helping them. Like Thomas Frank said the other day, don't boo us during the game. Boo us after the game.
I'm not saying to boo him,
yeah,
but don't be cheering every time a player traps the ball, though. He's a hero.
I know you thought that number of points from the home games was a damning stat. The other thing over their last 5 matches, they've drawn 3 of their last 5. Forest, Spurs and tonight. And they've been ahead in each of those games.
Well, obviously, he's clearly frustrated, the manager there. He's showing it with his answers. He's short and sharp. And, yeah, that'll be a concern for him. The last few games and the performances, again, even the Spurs game wasn't great. So, yeah, he obviously didn't even give Dalot credit for the goal. A decent first touch, decent finish. So, that again, that's the word tonight after the game when you thought you had an opportunity to get the feel-good factor, get some momentum into the season. We see how tight the table is. A lot of teams inconsistent. United had a chance, a little bit, just to put a little marker down to say, listen, yeah, we can win these. We win these type of games we're expected to win. Obviously, all the other games happened the last couple of nights, so spotlight was on United tonight. Get that win, go up to 5th in the league. They couldn't take it.
Yeah, especially, see the narrative now. You know what I mean? Now we are talking, they are talking. Everybody will be talking tomorrow and day after tomorrow and whatever about not enough points, again, bad run, whatever. So during the game, it's also the reason why they should have been double focus. Everybody, you know what I mean? To stop, to give more. I'm saying again the same point. For me, I didn't see enough of them that they were willing to do everything, to die for 3 points tonight. With the greatest respect to West Ham, they deserve it, but they want it. But United didn't do enough after they scored the first goal.
And usually, if you think when teams come to United about if you're trying to get a good result, we look at Everton. We focus on the last couple of home games. I bet you Everton and West Ham have gone off the pitch and thought that wasn't too bad. Yeah. We at least put demands on them physically, technically. United didn't. Again, I think United give these teams a lot of hope now. And I think the biggest insult you can have, I think, as a player, particularly for United, is I still think they're quite easy to play against. Exactly. Even the last 10 or 15 minutes, where's the aggression? Where's the fouls? Even if United think, well, one's enough, slow the game down. If you think we don't have that belief to go and get the second and third goal, again, we go back. They did at Palace. Find a way to win, grind out a result. So we're sitting here tonight and if they win 1-0, it was a bad game, it was a poor game, but they won 1-0. So there's a thumbs up for that. But instead, the word everyone's going to be using the next few days, again, the manager used it, frustration.
So how much different are these kind of discussions this season to last season for you? How much different are these performances? Was last year just terrible and calamitous? But this is kind of, as we said earlier, just a bit and they're missing opportunities. Or is it similar to last season?
No, I think it is. Well, it couldn't get any worse than last year.
Yeah.
I still think United are definitely more of a goal threat. The stats will tell you that. We've not seen it tonight or their last home game, but you still think 2 at Palace, 2 at Spurs, 2 at Forest. You still think there's more goals in the team, and there is. But there's still that for the attack and threat they have. Again, we've not seen it really tonight. I still think defensively and midfield, I have huge question marks over them. I still would look at them going, I wouldn't trust or believe in this team that they can get results when they need it. Like tonight again, it was this opportunity.
Especially when they...
And you got 1-0 up, by the way.
Not Arsenal. They're not Arsenal, or they're not all Juventus. They're not Atletico Madrid, that are so solid that is
They've got one clean sheet this season.
No. We were talking about... You said the best thing about United nowadays, or this season, is that you see goals in them. So United, to win a game, usually needs a couple of goals, to score. So you can't rely, we scored a goal, it's enough. West Ham will never score, because they are very likely to concede a goal. And that's their problem. And that's, I don't know why they stopped. The only way you can control the game, Dalot and the manager were talking, and that's true, about we didn't control the game. The only way you're going to control the game when you are 1-up is by keeping the ball, having the ball in your position, but on their part of the pitch, far away from your goal, and then you can stop them from doing something. But if you let them winning second balls, if you don't have a ball anymore long enough, and the people are, at least they're going to have a corner.
Yeah, but you can also control the game without having possession. So if United were strong enough mentally to sit back in and go, West Ham, yeah, you need to go.
They're not a solid team.
That's what I'm saying, Jess.
They're not that.
But if they had that about them going, well, we don't need to have possession, we can control it and sit back in. And you know what happens then, West Ham? If you do give it back to us, I tell you, we're going to get at you. We've got to get a pace, we've got to get a bit of power for it. But they ended up in no man's land. They didn't control the ball. The game became stretched, and you just, again, we're watching it, and that's why I'm looking at the players. You have a feeling going, I think something might happen here. I don't know how the players don't feel that. They must do. And that's where you show your quality. That's why you're at a club, and that's why they're on big wages, big transfer, because there's an expectation there. You have to deal with that.
Yeah, but for that you need to have that. It's like all the Italian teams. Like for that you need Barzagli, Bonucci, and Chiellini in a box, and you can make as many crosses as you want, but they're gonna head it out.
And they'll enjoy that.
I'm not talking the quality of the players, but Shaw, Yoro, and Mazraoui are not that kind of the players.
But if United if United don't feel tonight they can get the second and third goal, just get everyone back then. Just defend.
But but the West Ham didn't score from counter-attack. West Ham didn't score like when they were 3 against 2 or 5 against 4. If you sit back, then you're going to give them corners. You're going to give them corners. And
no, but the other side of that, but if you do lose it, you go at Adams. You kind of beat them in a different way on the counter-attack.
Yes, all right.
But by having less possession, show your quality in that sense. Again, when people talk about control of the game, that means you have to dominate possession. You don't have to dominate possession. We've seen some of the best teams in the world have less possession and go, and they suck teams on. So West Ham had to chase the game. So you sit in, and then you've got really good attacking players. You go, lads, you show your quality when we get it. But they didn't end up in, again, no man's land.
But then to protect the manager, a little bit, to be fair, is like we are talking about, do they have any options up front? And if Cunha came back from the injury, right? So maybe he couldn't last for more than 70 minutes or 75 or whatever. But apart from Mason Mount...
Attacking options, it was not great.
Apart from Mason Mount, you have a feeling like
they have
3 or 4 injured players.
Yeah.
But only Šeško is missing.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
And then when Mount...
What about the squad?
But then when the players come off the bench, you're hoping the players will obviously bring something to the party. I think the players that came onto United, they seem to lose the momentum with the subs.
But the other thing on Slaven's point about the sort of lack of attacking options on the bench, but only Šeško is out injured, in a few weeks' time, they'll lose Mbuemo, they'll lose Ahmad. I know Mazraoui is a defender, but really from those, from that right flank tonight, they're off to AFCON.
Yeah, but the manager's obviously aware of that. That's something they'd have to get prepared for. But when you look at the squad, considering the money that's been spent over the last few years, they do lack strength and depth, particularly from the attacking options. Again, when you're trying to see a game off tonight, and even when Mason Mount came on, I look at Mount when he comes on sometimes, and I know sometimes players seem to take longer to get up to speed than others. I felt he was like a kind of a schoolboy out there. You're looking for players to come on with a bit of presence and go, yeah, give me the ball, I'm a sub, I'll give you a brilliant lance, 20, 25 minutes. If anything, they brought the levels down at United. That seemed to be the case tonight.
Especially when he scored in the last game, you know what I mean? So he should be on it, he should be positive and everything. Here, you're on the stage for 20 minutes, we are 1-up, so don't have to do anything spectacular, but keep the ball there, get us some free kicks, corners, whatever, this and that. I don't know.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a magnifying glass to, well, a failure on the football pitch. But we're not just here to talk about tactics.
Not at all. We're using a high-stakes late-game collapse as a blueprint, really, for understanding the psychology of professional standards.
That's it. Our source material for this is intense. It's a transcript from a very raw post-match analysis with some highly experienced figures, and the context is a Premier League game.
Right, Manchester United, they failed to hold on to a 1-0 lead in the final minutes, and that slip cost them a critical jump to 5th place in the league table.
So the outcome was bad, sure, but the conversation we're digging into with people like Roy Keane, Slaven Bilic, it was just a masterclass in behavioral analysis.
It really was.
So our mission today is to analyze the psychological standards they said were, well, catastrophically breached. We want to understand that key difference between an elite performance failing because of panic or failing because of something, way more insidious.
Being too comfortable.
Exactly. And for anyone trying to understand high-pressure environments, you need to know that distinction. It's everything.
So let's jump right in. The immediate context is crucial because the stakes were just enormous, and they were magnified by the club's recent history.
Right.
The experts noted there were only about 10 minutes left on the clock. The team is 1 goal up. And this wasn't just about 3 points.
No, this was a chance to move to 5th place after, as they said, so many years of disappointment and criticism. It was a massive psychological opportunity.
A huge signal that maybe, just maybe, the club was finally turning a corner.
And this is exactly why the experts were so baffled. They just couldn't understand how the players, especially the experienced ones, couldn't smell it.
Smell it. That's such a great phrase for it. That specific, acute sense of danger that should be flooding your senses when you're hanging on like that.
That feeling that a twist is coming.
Exactly. And the consequences weren't abstract. They were tangible and immediate. Conceding in that moment meant getting, and I quote, killed tomorrow in a press.
And getting booed by your own fans. The internal pressure should have been at its absolute max.
So if the pressure was so high, why didn't that translate into hyper-focus?
That's the question. I mean, the source even suggested that around the 70th minute, someone needed to call a timeout, like you see in American sports, just to gather the team.
Which sounds ridiculous in football, but it highlights just how badly they needed some kind of enforced reset.
It's telling, isn't it? It implies the players themselves just weren't capable of performing that internal reset.
They needed someone to step in and just remind them, lads, the game is still in the balance. This is the moment to shut up shop.
Right. And that lack of double focus, that drive to score more, but also the discipline to defend perfectly, that leads us right to the core psychological failure they identified.
Okay, so when a team concedes a late goal, the common narrative is what they lost because of fear.
Yeah, that they got tight, they were scared, and they were just thinking, let's not concede. And that kind of failure, the experts admitted, is, well, it's human.
It's understandable. The pressure gets to you.
But the analysis here concludes, and very definitively, that this was not a loss that was rooted in fear. They said the team lost, not because they panicked, but because they were too comfortable.
Sloppy.
Yeah. They'd already decided implicitly, it's over. The job was done.
And this is where the source material gets exceptionally critical, because the consensus was that being too comfortable is fundamentally worse than being afraid.
Worse? How so?
Well, if you lose because you're scared, at least you understand the magnitude of the moment. You just fail to execute. But if you lose because you thought the job was already done,
That points to a systemic failure, a failure of professional standards, a lack of respect for the opposition.
absolutely. And they set this incredibly high bar for what would have been an acceptable loss in that scenario. They argued that if the opponent was going to score,
It had to be something special.
it's got to be a screamer, maybe from 20 yards, or a brilliant, an unavoidable header. It needed to be a moment of genuine quality that beat them.
But the goal they conceded,
It was called a cheap goal. It wasn't genius. It was just poor adherence to basic defensive principles.
and for these experts, that failure to hold the line against a cheap goal is irrefutable evidence. The standards had dipped because the comfort level had just risen way too high.
They just weren't treating that 1-0 lead with the necessary hyper-vigilant intensity.
So if they weren't panicked, what did that too comfortable actually look like on the pitch? I mean, where did the experts see the proof that this was sloppiness, not fear?
Well, it wasn't just in the goal itself, it was the atmosphere around the team. They zeroed in on the behavior during the substitutions in those final minutes.
Wait, they were critiquing the players coming off the pitch.
Precisely. The experts observed players being subbed who were, and I'm quoting here, just all chilling out, acting like they'd won the league.
Wow. Okay, so picture that. You're 1 goal up, you're fighting for a crucial 5th place, and the mood among your outgoing players is relaxed victory laps.
It sends the worst possible signal to the players coming on, and more importantly, to the opposition.
You get this bizarre paradox, a high-stakes, fragile lead, and yet the professional body language suggests total security. It's insane.
Exactly. The commentary was scathing. You can't be cool when you're 1-0 up. Get the job done. They stress that players need to show some intensity even when they're walking off the pitch.
Because that casual attitude, it's like a virus. It spreads that low-focus state across the whole squad.
And this leads to what I think is a fantastic takeaway for anyone operating under pressure, no matter the field. It's about the threshold for relaxation.
Ah, yes. The guideline.
They offered a specific one, maybe relax at 3-0, not 1-0. A 1-goal lead is inherently dangerous. It demands absolute vigilance until that final whistle.
The comfort level must mirror the security of the lead. Simple as that.
And of course, the opponent immediately capitalized on that low intensity with a set piece, which just makes the whole thing even more poignant.
And the source pointed out that this team had recently been praised for their defending on set pieces, right?
That's the thing. They were known to be good at it. So they gave away a cheap corner, and then what happens?
The smallest player on the pitch wins the header.
The smallest player, someone who was only 5'9", scores with a header.
That detail really sticks with you. It just screams that it wasn't technical brilliance that beat them. It was a basic failure to do the job, to track your man, to be present.
They were beaten by a lack of focus on the fundamentals that they'd already mastered. It's just damning evidence of that chill mentality.
It is. And if we connect this specific failure to the broader context of the club, that dip in standards led the experts to a pretty damning conclusion.
This team's not ready to go fifth.
And the sources really contextualize this by pointing out the opposition. They mentioned that in a previous game, the team got out of jail against a team whose defending was described as well.
Like a pub team.
Like a pub team, meaning, amateurish. And the team they were facing in this collapse, West Ham, were battling relegation.
The criticism was harsh, yes, but it was meant to underscore just how enormous this missed opportunity was. One expert even went further, talking about their next opponents,
Right.
describing them as one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Premier League.
That's incredibly strong language from the source. Is it entirely fair, though, to judge the failure just on the weakness of the opposition? Couldn't that be a bit exaggerated?
I think they used that harsh language precisely because the team failed to dominate when they absolutely should have. The criticism wasn't just about losing the 3 points.
It was that instead of seizing the moment to flex our muscles, as they put it, and go for a second or third goal, they actually made it worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
The manager's substitutions, the general atmosphere, it all contributed. They made the game stretched, and crucially, they gave the opponent hope.
And giving hope to an opponent who should be beaten handily, that is a failure of control. When you have superior talent, which the source insists they did, the expectation has to be dominance.
By letting the game stretch and drift, they invited an opponent who shouldn't have even dreamed of getting back into the game to smell weakness.
Which brings us to what I think is the most fascinating part of the analysis. It looked beyond the players, beyond the coaching staff, to the fans.
And the overall culture of the club.
Yeah.
If professional standards are eroding, what role does that external environment play?
It's a critical question for any high-performance organization, isn't it? The experts observe that every player at Old Trafford now gets a standing ovation.
And that fans are cheering everything these days. The example they gave was astounding. A player traps the ball correctly and gets cheered like they've scored a wonder goal.
And this started a really interesting debate among the analysts. Are the fans doing this to try and lift it, to create a positive atmosphere?
Or are their low demands and their exaggerated praise actually contributing to an environment where minimum effort is seen as enough?
If the bar for praise is set that low-cheering basic competence, it tells the players that minimal effort is enough to satisfy the crowd. It just lowers the standard of what's good enough.
They literally ask, where are the standards of the club? If the culture accepts just surviving rather than dominating, the standards will inevitably sink.
That is such a powerful insight for any organization. If the external pressures, from customers, stakeholders, or in this case fans, accept lower quality, it becomes incredibly difficult for the internal mechanisms to demand excellence.
It changes the definition of success. The analysis implies the players needed to take responsibility to get the job done themselves. Instead, they relied on comfort, waited for the clock to run down.
A strategy that only works when you're 3 goals up, not 1.
They needed to see their peers, their fans, demanding more than a nervy 1-0 win against a struggling team. The whole environment needed to signal absolute, uncompromising intensity.
So if we synthesize this entire deep dive for you, the listener, what's the key learning point? The one that transfers out of sports and into our own professional lives?
I think it's this. In any high-performance setting, a project deadline, a negotiation, whatever success hinges not just on talent, but on maintaining extreme intensity and focus when the stakes are highest. It requires that psychological double focus.
And complacency, that subtle feeling of it's over when the score is only 1-0 and the clock hasn't run out. That's the silent killer of performance.
And as these experts judged it, it's worse than outright panic. Because panic at least implies you recognize the danger. Comfort implies you were completely blind to it.
The cheap goal, the simple mistake, the opponent getting back into a game they had no right to be in. These failures are inevitable when professional standards slip because expectations have been lowered.
Whether those expectations come from management, from the team itself, or even from the cheering crowd.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought, building on this idea of maintaining professional standards. If being too comfortable leads to that cheap, high-consequence loss in the final moments, what are the subtle signs of chill or low intensity in your own high-stakes work environment?
And how do you audit your own performance to make sure your personal standard remains rigorously at that 3-0 dominance threshold, even when the score is only 1-0 and the job is not quite done?
Something to think about next time you feel that urge to relax, just a little, when you're only 10 minutes away from hitting that major milestone. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.